Good room, you guys. I'm thrilled to be here today with Monica Bergava from Williams-Sonoma Home and Pottery Barn, with Erin Lauder. They are collaborating right now on a beautiful collection for Williams-Sonoma Home that's just so inspiring, and we'll talk more about that. And Amanda Lindroth from Amanda Lindroth Interiors, based in Nassau, Bahamas, and Palm Beach. So I think we have a really fun perspective on not just pastels, but colors. So by way of introduction, I kind of wanted to start by asking our panel, what color are you loving right now, and what color are you just a little bit past or a little bit over?
Yesterday we heard in a different panel, someone was asked a similar question, and they said they were over millennial pink. Well, I'd never heard that word. And I know I live in the islands, but maybe I'm also deaf. I don't know what millennial pink is, but apparently it's soft pink. And I thought to myself, that's interesting because soft pink where I live is really part of our idiom. I'm never over pink. I know yellow has come back into fashion, and I struggle with it, if I'm honest.
Well, I agree with you. I absolutely love pink. Our beauty line is all inspired by this beautiful pale pink color. I think a lot has to do with that I live with 2 teenage boys, so this is my escape of something pretty. And I also love lavender now. I think there's something really beautiful with these dusty pastels, and I love that you see it always in your work. And the color probably that I cannot get my arms around and I don't love is orange.
Today, if I had to think about one, I think it would be the expression of color in neon. I'm not responding to neon in any color at all because of the way I grew up, and I saw so many different outfits and turbans and saris and all of that put together, and there were no rules. There were really no rules growing up. And so there was never a thing about these 2 colors don't go together. I've never had that filter, which has really been sort of freeing for me.
I wanted to ask Erin first, where do you look for color inspiration?
My heritage, I always say that blue and white is definitely very much in my heritage. I think my grandmother loved blue and white, created a whole brand around that. It's a great story because my grandmother, Estee, and she started the business in 1946, had incredible intuition. And she was going between blue and green, like a pale green, for her brand, and she couldn't figure out which direction to go in. And she would go to her friends' homes and ask to use their powder rooms, and would walk in and realize most bathrooms were blue and white. So she wanted her product to work beautifully in their powder rooms, which was really interesting, very clever. And because of that, I was always surrounded by blue and white.
I feel like I'm always learning about color, even being in New York and being at the flower market. Where do you look for color inspiration?
You know, it's funny, you talked about the garden, and all colors in the garden work together. I look at gardens. I travel a lot to all the bazaars, to museums, to shows. I can't think that there's one specific place because all of us as designers have our peepers open at all times. And so that sort of goes into your system, and then you process it, and it comes out in whichever expression it needs to. And so like when we were collaborating with Erin, we had together decided that blue and white was going to be that expression. But then as we did the textiles, we wanted to infuse more color into it. So it's an organic process, but we were inspired by the florals that Erin loves. And so that's sort of what took us there. So it depends on what project.
Erin, there's this great photo of you with...
That with the huge baskets,
yeah.
That was for our fragrance launch. And all inspired by different gardens, some from Kyoto, some from the English countryside, as well as like Long Island, East Hampton gardens. So we had editors come in and bloggers come in, and they got to pick an arrangement of roses, whether they wanted all different colors or just one. And they were all based on the different fragrances.
I hope that killed it on Instagram.
I know that was a little over the top and fun.
I don't know if everyone's been to Erin's store in Southampton, but it's so inspiring. How do you think about retail?
Retail is really, really hard right now, I have to say. I was at Estee Lauder for many, many years. I was creative director, and it was all about department stores and a different type of distribution. And I keep hearing about the importance of these small little jewel box boutique kind of stores. And I think people want experience, they want something different. That's why I think what you're doing is so magical, because it is really about that discovery. And I think all these buyers are buying the same thing at these big stores, especially in home. And I think it's really interesting. We started Southampton really as a pop-up. It's a wonderful showcase of the whole brand, and we ended up keeping it open full-time because people have loved it. And we're about to open up one in Palm Beach in the fall. So I do think with retail it's changing. I think it's harder than ever. You go down Madison Avenue now and everything's empty. And I think it really is about experience and small and special I think, unique.
Monica, you know a thing or two about retail. How do you continually change it up and keep it fresh?
For both brands, and I'll speak for Williams-Sonoma Home first, we have a seasonal cadence that we have to build to. So at any given time, we're obviously designing and developing a year out the product. And we set up 8 different presentations a year, right? The goal in each one is to have a story to tell, because I think everyone's looking for that experiential story. And one of the things that we have done, and currently we are bucking some of the retail financial trends that are happening, so that's great. But when we think about it, what we've done is we've infused a little bit of magic at every level for the customer. So you don't have to come in and commit to buying the big kitchen island. You know, you could walk away with just the salad plates to layer onto your white plates, or you could walk in and just buy some candles. And so there's that instant gratification that you're getting without making a big commitment. And I think the idea is to keep the front and the store fresh, which is why we do like 12 to 18 flows a year, because it's an insane level of design. A little secret that nobody really knows is that 98% of what's designed and developed for both brands is in-house. So we have an amazing design team that is so prolific, and the artwork is painted in-house, and all of it is developed really in-house. And even in collaborating with Erin, we did the same thing. We took some antique pieces that she had, some vintage pieces, and we designed it together. And then the story that we try to tell is we take it from a textile or whatever the original inspiration may be. So let's say the florals we did for the Erin collaboration, right? And we wanted to make sure that they were relevant today. So not only did we do them in a beautiful pastel expression in linen, but then we took and built that story bigger, whether we did linen with the straw French pillow, or we took the florals and we made them sculpted, or we made them into those beautiful brass objets. So we made it a little bit more modern and aspirational at every level. So it's just taking that story and weaving it through all different kinds of products.
I want to go back to that last image, which is a room that Amanda did, but I'm so inspired by it. I want to talk a little bit about paint. How do you think about putting the right pink paint in a room?
Pink is tricky because you don't want it to get too fleshy in the peach zones, and you don't want it to get too bubblegummy in the blue zone. It takes us, depending on the thing, we put them up on the wall, and sometimes we put 10 samples up, because pink also changes entirely with light. You need to test it in the light, you really do. So, but I hardly have ever seen a pink I hated, except for the really bubbly ones, because they're a real miss. This is in my apartment in Palm Beach, and that's my daughter Eliza's bedroom. That painting was my mother's, and it's huge. I think it's maybe 10 feet square. From the time my mother bought it, I thought that will be mine, and of course I inherited it when she passed away, and it sort of really informed that room. Aldous and I just decided to just cover it in that beautiful pink and ignore all the trim work issues and the wood doors and all that, and just eliminate them. And then correct the window height with the dummy matchstick blind to trick your eye that window is probably not as tall as it needs to be.
That green trim, is that paint?
It is, it's paint. What we often do it in grosgrain. One of the questions that you would put in your advanced thing is, how do you make a pastel fresh? But pastels are always fresh in the islands. We don't have, and we also need a pastel. We always use a lot of white in our interiors, not dirty whites, real whites. So, but how do you make a pastel fresh? Well, in this case, you put this big, wide, modern border on it. And then you beat a dead horse and put it on the curtains, and then on the death ruffle, and maybe add a stripe on the floor. So, but the room's charming, it really is.
Right. I love that tip of using a border. I think that's really amazing. Erin, the other image I love is your home in Palm Beach that was just in AD. And that blue.
Oh, the crazy blue room.
Crazy blue room.
Years ago, she lived in Palm Beach, obviously at the end of South Ocean Boulevard, in this white pillared house. She always loved white pillared homes. And she bought the house next to it and boarded it up just to protect herself and privacy from the breakers that was one away. And when she left one house to my uncle and the other one to my father, and this was her Palm Beach living room, so to speak, in the original house. And my uncle wanted to change it, and my parents wanted to keep it. So we basically transported this whole room into their home. And it was the exact, wall color, furniture, even behind us, you can't really tell, there are these two speakers, I think from the 60s, that just don't even obviously work anymore, but we were very sentimental, and we really kept it exactly as is. And it was so fun to see how she painted the furniture. It's all striated, and just the color just looks so
It looks so fresh.
It's so
really
fresh,
does.
and we just shot this for AD, and the team came in, and they just loved it. They were blown away, and it really hasn't changed since she did it.
This room, this photo is
This
so
we did for the
beautiful.
Williams-Sonoma shot, which was really amazing. And I was actually very happy because my mother left. She's never really been at a shoot before. And when Williams-Sonoma called and said, we're going to shoot this, and we're going to bring in, 40 people and take out all the furniture, I thought this was a perfect time for her to leave the situation, because she's never been to a shoot, especially one quite like this. So, and when she actually saw this picture, she was so confused. She's like, wait a second, where was that? And I was like, yes, that is usually where the dining room table is and all the other pieces. So, and we went through the beautiful line of furniture that Williams-Sonoma has, and we kind of curated it and brought in the palm, and it was a great project.
And I know that we've picked up on your love for wovens too. So
I do. I love straw, and I love
really
straw furniture, and I do love sisal all the time. It's like I don't know. I think it's an element that I use in everything I do, whether it's in my office or my home. And my children do say it's not soft also, but I don't care. I love it.
So like florals as a starting point for a palette. I mean, Erin, your whole line, I feel like, does have this, floral inspiration. Was there a particular flower that you guys were inspired by?
Well, for beauty, we were inspired by the rose, and that was really the base for the whole beauty line. And obviously, we have a collection of fragrances, and they're all floral. But then regarding Williams-Sonoma and home, we love the idea of incorporating florals, and how do you do it in a new way? And it's playing with the size, the color combination. We did these beautiful ceramic floral objects. And so I think it's really just playing with the unexpected a little bit.
Floral wallpaper, I think it's gotten so exciting. Even it's really thinking about putting florals in a new context, like playing with scale, I think can make things feel so modern and cool.
It's interesting about florals because I think about florals, they've been with us forever, you guys. I mean, they've been with us, chintzes, pollen pores, you name it. I mean, I'm thinking in the most recent past, who was it? Christian Dior in 2012 or 2015 that did the big floral explosion that got back florals for all of us. And so that legacy of using florals.
I mean, Gucci now.
Like, right?
So
insanely good.
And on a interesting background, I think the way they're combining florals with cool colors is
You've
so
got to
exciting.
counterpoint it. And I think that's the counterpointing, that whether you counterpoint it with something industrial or something woven or something metallic or like a modern edge treatment on the color like you did in your room. I mean, I just think as long as you counterpoint the florals, they're good. But the florals are always going to be in style. I can't imagine not loving a chintz or not loving a pollen pore or not loving a backyard floral, the ivy down the street from here. I mean, beautiful floral moment, and it's been classic forever. So I think the florals are good. It's just how we're going to treat them.
On that note, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming.